So you're relocating to Huntsville, Alabama. Maybe you already have a job offer in hand, or you're just waiting on that job offer to come in. Well, before you get too excited, you're gonna wanna hit the brakes a little bit, because in today's video, we're gonna be telling you the 10 things about Huntsville, Alabama that you have to know before moving here. If you cannot handle any of these things, Huntsville may just end up being one of the worst decisions of your life. So starting off with number one, this is huge. You don't know how bad a southern Alabama summer is until you've lived it. Now, if you're coming from the Northwest and you like snow, you're gonna hate it here. There's very little snow accumulation. When there is snow, the whole city shuts down because there's not enough infrastructure to properly salt and treat the roads and all the back roads. Summers here are brutal. You could be looking at t-shirt weather in February. Now for you growers out there, you planters, the frost date is in April. So even though you are starting to get those really hot days in February and March, it could kill your garden plans as soon as you hit April. And then it can be, if you've got swimming pools, you could still be swimming in October if you use a solar cover. I've had a couple of Christmases where I was in t-shirts because it was so warm here. The summer, the humidity, it's just on a whole nother level. If you are from Washington, D.C., North Virginia area, you know how bad the summers get there. The humidity here is just on another level where you're walking outside, it feels sticky all the time. If you like to be outdoors, if you like to go on lots of trails and hiking, if you're used to a dry heats or those higher altitudes where it could be warmer out, but it doesn't feel as bad because you've got wind and breezes and all of that, you're in for a rude awakening here. If you're outdoorsy and like to golf, it gets hot. Hey, I was just the other day helping my grandparents who are moving up to the area unload and unpack. We're moving furniture, and I was starting to get heat exhaustion from moving furniture just for a few hours, and it wasn't even a hot blazing sun on you. It was some cloud cover and a little bit of breeze. It will sneak up on you. So if you like a lot of outdoorsy, it's something to get used to, and you're just gonna have to accept the fact that you're gonna feel sticky and sweaty all the time when you're outside. Now, if you're just going from place to place and you're driving from an air-conditioned car to an air-conditioned office back to your home, hey, you know what? You're gonna deal with that uncomfortable in the parking lots, and then you're good to go. But if you're outdoorsy, this is something you need to keep in mind. It's not like the Pacific Northwest or areas where with a dry heat. It's hot here. Number two, if you thought number one was bad, number two, this is the one that scares the most people when they find out about this. The sky wants to kill you all the time here in Alabama. We've got tornadoes. Now, other parts of the country, you're dealing with earthquakes, tornadoes as well. You might be dealing with hurricanes or typhoons. Over here, tornadoes are the big one that is going to wreck your day. Now, here's the unfortunate truth. How do we live with this all the time? Well, survivor's bias, honestly. People in the area get used to it because after your 40th tornado warning and nothing happened, you start to think, I've lived here for 12 years, nothing's happened. You get lazy on your planning, and that's probably when you're most at risk of something happening. When you first move here, I'm gonna tell you exactly how you wanna deal with this. You're either gonna want a house with a designated safe room, something that will have some more concrete there, a safe area they can go to, or you're gonna wanna go and buy either those above ground tornado shelters. You might be paying 15, 20 grand to get one of those, but you get one of those, that will give you that peace of mind. Some of the older properties around here, they have the outdoor storm shelter, kind of like in a berm. But here's the thing about those. Alabama's water table is so high here, and you'll see this, a lot of houses don't have basements. Because that water table is so high, so even if you are going to the ground, you're likely to have moisture problems there. It's not uncommon that you might see those fill up with water when they're not properly sealed off. And you know what? You don't want to go down to storm shelter and it's flooded during a tornado watch. The biggest fear for people moving here is when maybe your family and one person's at work and the other one's at home, and then the tornado goes off, you can't get to each other. What do you do? So you've got to have a plan in place. So if you can deal with the humidity and the sky trying to kill you, I'm gonna tell you something about the city itself that is gonna drive you insane. So many people end up regretting this. The city is just urban sprawl like crazy. Huntsville just keeps going out and out and out. We've not seen a lot of vertical going up very high vertically. It just sprawls subdivision. And so what that's happening is the local infrastructure is decades behind being able to keep up with this. You'll see some of the massive choke points on 72 as people go from Huntsville to Madison to Athens and all the roads that feed onto there. It is 4-lane roads, 2 lanes in either direction. It cannot handle the traffic that's coming in. So you're seeing like 30, 40 minutes if there's wrecks just trying to get through these choke points. And the city, as it continues to grow, you're seeing all these developers go to old farmland, developing and putting, thousands of houses in the area, and you have 1-lane roads going either direction with literal stop signs, and you're just waiting. And so when you're in rush hour, that's the challenge, is the city is not prepared for the growth that it has going on. For a city of engineers, you think they could have planned their growth and infrastructure a bit better. Alas, they did not. So with the infrastructure growth, one of the most expensive mistakes people end up making moving here is picking a place that looks close on the map and ends up being an extra 15, 20, 30 minutes longer to get to work than they're thinking, especially if you're working on Redstone Arsenal, when you've got enhanced security threats going on, or government funding issues where gates close down. It can completely wreck your whole commute, and things are taking longer and longer. So a sprawling city with limited infrastructure that's behind. So much of your time in the city can be spent driving from area to area. Now, if you're coming from a major metropolis, it's gonna feel like a breath of fresh air. Oh, only 30 minutes to get through a choke point. I'm used to an hour and a half to get through this portion of a 6-lane road. Yeah, it's all a matter of perspective where you're coming from, but just don't be fooled by looking at the map. Things can be a little bit longer than it looks. Leading on to number 4, you're gonna be spending so much more time driving here. If you're coming from an area with public transportation options, Huntsville has minimal. There's a couple of services out there for public transportation that you can use, but we don't have a train line, we don't have a metro, we have very limited busing options. Public transportation is pretty much shot for the city. As well as if you are having EVs, you're getting a little bit more of EV charging station, but it's not set up for a lot of EV support. Alternative modes of transportation, even biking lanes, are extremely minimal in only a couple of areas. So you're gonna be in a car all the time driving here. The only good thing that Huntsville has is it does not require emission testing for your vehicles. And so that can save you that yearly expense. The registration fees in this area is not bad, but you're gonna be doing a lot of driving wherever you go. All right, so the 5th thing you need to know about Huntsville, Alabama is the sales tax is so high. 9% sales tax. From where I used to live in Alexandria, Virginia, it was just 5%. That extra 4% really adds up. And you know what? The state taxes food as well. So I'm just letting you think about that one for a moment. Sometimes the state will suspend the taxes on food. I know recently they've done a suspension on it to help out with the rising cost of living, but that is only temporary suspension. The state taxes food, and you're looking at high sales tax. The only saving grace is while you're paying a lot for sales tax here, property taxes is one of the lowest in the country. Look, on a $750,000 house, you might only be looking at less than like $350, less than $400 a month. That's it for property taxes for your primary address. So you win some, you lose some. Income tax, 5%, kind of there in the middle. But the best thing about this income tax here in Huntsville, Alabama, is that the state does not tax federal pensions or federal or state pensions. So if you are 20 years military service, you get to take that hard-earned pension, and the state's not going to tax on top of it. If you got Social Security, that's going to stretch a little bit further. So you really got to run the numbers if you're looking at, so you're going to be probably retiring here to the area, if the income tax savings is going to offset by the sales tax, if it's going to work out as a wash, or if you're going to end up a little bit better here. All right, so while we're talking about taxes, there's another issue when it comes to the legal part here of Huntsville. Alabama is a buyer beware state. What that means is when you're moving here from 4 states, 5 states away, sellers don't have to disclose problems with the property. Yeah, it's crazy, right? Wouldn't the seller know the most issues with the property? I mean, almost any other state in the country, the sellers are required to disclose issues with the property in compliance with some state order. Well, here, it's on you, the buyer, to figure it out. So look, don't do it alone. Our team here at Redstone Realty Solutions, we got your back when you're moving here. Hey, tell us what you're looking for. Give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. We'll help you, or book a Zoom call with us so we can have better understanding of what you're looking for and help make this move as easy as possible. Back to buyer beware. This is where you're going to have to rely so much on third-party resources, home inspectors, pest inspectors, and even then, they don't always get it right. So what you're going to want to do, just to protect yourself, I'll tell you exactly what you want to do is when you're moving here, assume that something is likely to go wrong in that first 12 months and budget accordingly. Don't buy at the top end of your budget because it's a buyer beware, because you've got less guarantees from the seller, siphon off a little bit of your money every month, put into a savings account you never look at just to prepare for the unexpected in case that stovetop explodes, in case your water heater goes bad, in case there's some undisclosed issue that you find out the backyard floods after the fact. You don't know that till you have a big rain, you have to put French drains in. Whatever the case may be, just don't go to the top of your range of your budget. This will give you so much margin. You'll thank me later. All right, number 7 on this list. We've talked about the sky one to kill you. Well, I'll tell you what, there are bugs trying to destroy your house all the time here. Alabama doesn't just have termites. We have carpenter beetles. We have wood-destroying organisms. There is so much. If you got a wood house, you've got so many things trying to eat it, trying to erode that integrity of your house. Plus, it's buggy out here. We've got, honestly, in 12 years here, I haven't seen very many. I think maybe one time my brother saw a scorpion, but scorpions are in Alabama. Fleas are real bad here if you've got pets. They suck. Fire ants all over the place. They're invasive. You've got ticks. Like, it's crazy. If you've heard about those like ticks that they can be real bad here, and you've got coming down from Tennessee those issues with those ticks that make you where you can't really eat red meat or whatever the case is. We've got lots of ticks in the area, fleas, all these things I wanted to see. Oh, and then while we're on bugs, technically an arachnid, we are so lucky in this area to have the 2 deadliest spiders in the continent, black widows and brown recluses. Those brown recluses are crazy. They're everywhere. If you're not spraying for that, like, they like to hang out in your little moving boxes, breed in there, and then come at you later. So you got to be careful about those things because they can wreck you. If you don't know about them, go look it up. Look, my wife is terrified of those things. Whenever we move, she would have us like go through every single piece of furniture, scour it to make sure that we weren't bringing any new reckless is introducing it into the house. There's some things you can do to spray, but if you don't like to be spray heavy, then you're probably gonna get them sooner or later. Our new place that we moved into had 2 black widows. And look, we have little toddlers, so I had to kill those things. They keep to themselves. I felt terrible doing it. They're not bothering one, but those can be so deadly to a toddler. So gotta be mindful of all these bugs trying to hurt you here. All right, so we're well past the halfway mark. The next part I want to talk to you about is Southern culture. Look, if you're not prepared for Southern culture, it's a completely different world out here. I'm gonna give you just a taste so you can start to understand for yourself what it's like here. Huntsville, Alabama, there's no state lottery. Gambling is, while you've got companies trying to introduce it into this area and special interests, it's by and large pretty restricted here. You've got areas that are dry counties. What that means is you can't buy alcohol there. Alabama is a constitutional carry state. Okay, if you're not prepared for these kinds of things, it's a different pace of life here. It's a whole different ballpark here. Oh, and if you're coming from Colorado or anywhere where marijuana is legalized, that's still illegal here in Alabama. There's been some pushes for medical uses, but you're looking at all these things. Now, some of you may be loving that. Some of you might be turned off thinking this is the most backward place ever. I'll let you decide which way that you swing there. But so speaking of Southern culture, some of the other big things here, people are like, there is no professional sports team here in Huntsville, Alabama. You got a lot of amateur sports. So you've got a minor league baseball team. You've got ice hockey team, all these minor league teams here in Huntsville. You've got college football is the huge thing in this area that is going to be something to get used to. Like it just comes up in everyday conversation. Alabama, Auburn, like I don't get it. I'm not a sport person at all. Other parts of Southern culture is, okay, this might take you aback, but there's a politeness here. It's intended to be polite. People say, yes, ma'am, yes, sir. I know for parts of the country, yes, ma'am is a trigger. Like, how old do you think I am? But over here, don't take offense. It's not meant with, neither of these terms are meant with offense. It's just meant as a way of respect. So something to get used to if you're not used to that. And if you're going to a smaller area here, look, a lot of people here have lived there their whole lives. Their parents, grandparents have lived there their whole lives. So it can be, they'll see you as an outsider. My wife's lived here for 20 years. People still see her as an outsider. She doesn't see herself as belonging here. This is not an area that you go, if you're not from here, that you think, oh yeah, I'm from here now after so many years. And look, I don't have a problem with that. I'm not from here. I own it. All right. If you are intentional with trying to get to know people and you're intentional with getting involved, you can break through the local barriers of not growing up and going to high school with people here and knowing everyone. You can break past all of that. All right. So number 9 on this list, if you are going to need childcare options, Huntsville, Alabama, while it's a lot cheaper than other areas, the wait lists are long. Fortunately, my wife is a stay-at-home mom, so we have not had to go through the childcare fiasco, but you could be looking at long wait lists. It's something that you need to plan for in advance because it's hard to just walk in and then enroll your kids in childcare. Though there's limited options here in the area, and there can be long wait lists. So if you've got little ones that are going to be needing childcare, you're going to want to do some more research into trying to lock that up before maybe even move over here so you've got something planned. All right, so number 10 on this list, if you are relocating here, especially if you are in defense contracting or government work, if your household income is in that 140, 200 plus range, guess what? You are at the top end of the income here in the area because the median is only $77,000. If you're outside of the high paying fields, your income leverage is a bit lower. This is not a finance hub area. This is not a super technology unless you're in defense contracting hub area. You've got a career ceiling cap here that's federal employees, defense contractors, those fields, that is the upper echelon for this area. And so while there are a lot of demand, if you've got that type of skill set, there's a lot of demand here for that area. So you can come from one organization and move around. It may be harder for you to continue growing that income and moving up the ranks. And if you're outside of those fields, then you may have to you may be dealing with much lower pay rates. Hospital workers, if you look into the University of Alabama, Huntsville, you'll see they're not paid nearly what hospital workers are paid in other parts of the country. So a lot of these other fields outside these specialized defense contracting federal employee jobs, the income is a lot lower. So when you look at the cost of living here, it all depends on where you're landing on that range. So that's why so many people who relocate here in your late career phase or your 10 years out from retirement, this can be an awesome opportunity to supercharge that next season of life. If you're looking at getting started and building up here, but you've got a different skill set, you may be getting career caps, income caps a lot sooner than you think. And then when you look at a $400,000 house on an $80,000 a year or less salary for your household, that starts to make that cost of living so much more expensive, especially if you put in college or childcare, any of those kind of things. A budget starts to break, it makes less sense. All right, so if that didn't scare you off and you think, I might be able to actually handle Huntsville, that doesn't sound as bad as I thought. We got a playlist here that goes into more and more detail about everything that's like to live in Huntsville, Alabama. So I'll click on that and we'll catch you on the next video.